everyone, it's Julia. I made this little wall hanging a couple weeks ago and I filmed it and I thought I'd share it with you today. It has a lot of just fun elements on it, a lot of free motion stitching. I am using a cotton canvas, heavier cotton canvas for this, the base on this, the foundation on this. And it is about 11 inches wide and the finished is about 13 inches long. So it's 11 by 13. And I do just double my canvas. So I'm just working on the front side of the canvas right now. I hope that makes sense. It will in a little bit, I think, make more sense. And I am just creating this little house scene. Just pulled out a lot of scraps. I do have some paint on my canvas. I just added a little bit of yellow paint so that you can see there. I think I actually just used that in a previous project, and that's why that yellow paint is still there. I am using that, it's a measuring tape, and it is like a trim, and someone gifted that to me, and I just love it. Thank you so much. I use it in so many different ways, and this is going to be a tree. This is the tree trunk, that little measuring tape trim. And also I used some of that trim in the actual hanging hanger itself, and you'll see that. Some of these scraps had some heat and bond Lite from previous projects already on the back, and so some of this is going to be just ironed on, and that's what I did there. Just got everything flat and ironed on. And now I'm fussy cutting. Just thought some of the little flowers would be really cute on this design. And scattered some of those flowers around. Started pinning, but then I remembered I just purchased some of this glue. Actually, it was a few months ago at a quilt show that I went to. And I'm always such a sucker when it comes to something new that I haven't used before. And this, I really love it. It has a fine tip, and then on the other, so it has a double application to it, and it's really a bold application on one side, and then this fine tip on the other. It's a temporary basting glue, but it doesn't gum, and I'll link it down below if I can find it. I haven't really been enjoying it. Decided I was going to add a little window box on this house scene. And then I have this little crocheted flower that I added. And again, that was another gifted item from someone. And I just love crocheted, and I have never learned how to do it. It's just it's on my bucket list. I would love to be able to make these little flowers. Just putting that window box on there and getting everything down. Underneath that house, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I used some just cheesecloth that adds an interesting texture. And I did tea dye that cheesecloth. So it has that real, I don't know, primitive look to it, I guess. And added some flowers there to that flower box. I'm taking out my heat erase pens. Again, I'll link stuff down below for you, so if any of you want to see what I'm using. But these disappear once they're ironed or heat. But I do want to just draw some lines so that I can see what I'm doing when I'm doing my free motion stitching. So I'm drawing on a little window and some curtains in the window and a door. I'm adding some stamping to this. I have a permanent ink by Ranger. And I'm just removing some of the ink that is on the sides of those stamps. And I believe I got this letter stamp from Michael's or Tuesday Morning. I'm just stamping the word home, and I'm doing this directly right on that piece of vintage linen. And that was a little scary, but you know what? If I messed up on that stamping, I could just cover it up with something. So don't let your fears overtake what you can do on these. Just be creative, because you can always fix things. This is another stamp that I got a long time ago at Tuesday Morning, and I just love it. It says the story begins on it. I just thought it's really cute. And I did stamp that on a different different piece of a neutral colored fabric, and just I'm going to baste that into place with the glue. Now I do have some quilting batting on the back side of this, and I'm going to be taking this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to be free motioning, stitching this on. I have just cream colored thread at first, and I will later change to black thread, but I am just meander stitching through this, around this. And here I got something caught. That is one of the things. I have an open-toed free motion or quilting foot on right now, and sometimes you do get caught, especially in that cheesecloth. It's a little bit tricky, but sometimes I just push things underneath as I go. And again, I'm moving around here because I just want to, with this cream thread, just get some of it, and the rest of it will be outlined in black. Now I'm just going to move over again here too and just get the linen part of this. This linen was so beautiful. I'm sure someone, again, gifted this to me, or maybe I picked it up at the flea market. I'm always looking for things like that. And I'm just meander stitching around this with this cream thread. Changing into my black now. I don't know what I would ever do with these automatic needle threaders on sewing machines. A few years ago, I thought I don't ever need that, but yeah, things certainly change as you get a little older. Just cut my thread there. Now, notice how this little crocheted motif is quite a bit, there's a thickness to it. And so I stopped there for a second and I adjusted this foot. There's a screw at the top of that foot. Now I'm adjusting it again because I'm going back into fewer layers, less thickness. You want your foot to barely rest on the top of your work. And so sometimes when I'm going through a lot of thicknesses or varying thicknesses, I will adjust that if I need to, that screw on the top. If you're doing a quilt block and everything is the same thickness, you just do that once at the beginning to get it where it needs to be, and then you can just keep going. I'm going back and forth twice. I do that on most of my things. It's a personal preference. I love going over these little flower motifs. This is just, it's so fun, and I don't try to get exact at all. I like the fabric kind of sticking out of the edges on it, and doing some of the detail on the leaves. Now I'm doing this curtain in this window, and I really went off on that left side of the window there, as you can see. And so to fix that, it isn't really a fix, but I'm gonna somewhat duplicate this, the same on this side, where I'm going over it a couple times, so it makes it look like it's supposed to be off. That's what I do. It just just the easy way. Doing the doorknob here and the door. Little round window up here. I've had some questions on, I use different quilting feet for this, and I do have a plastic one. My understanding is that plastic one, and even in my directions with my sewing machine, it is called a darning foot, and it is a little bit different. It has a spring and it bounces more, and so I don't have to adjust if I'm going over a lot of different thicknesses. And I mean, sometimes in my fabric collages, I do have so many different things that I'm putting on there, and I will use that plastic foot that darning foot instead of this open-toed quilting foot. There's just some differences. I find that the plastic one is more cumbersome somewhat. You can't see as well. This one you can see really well with it. And so, I mean, that's the only thing I can say is, you know, you just have to see what kind of works for you. And different instances, you might like one thing over another. Just did a little squiggle there. I decided just to add some stitching marks. And then just getting this little scrap that I had the words stamped on, down, stitched around. We're all done, and I'm just clipping some threads here. You can take a look at it. Now I do have the back side of this canvas folded to the back now, and so in between my layers is that piece of quilt batting. I have found these little, they're clip things at a whole bag of them at the flea market, and I thought I'm going to use these in something, and I just thought this would make a really cute hanger. If you do remember these, what I remember them as, my mom used to clip my mittens to the bottom of my jacket with a, you know, elastic through it or whatever, but that's what these clips, I mean, that remind me of. So they look really vintage, and I just thought they added some charm to the top for the hanger. And I just have a little piece of lace that I thought I would clip under one of them, just again to add some detail. On the left there you can see I have my jump rings. I thought I was going to put just jump rings on the top of these clips and maybe string some jute or cording or something through there to hang it. But then I changed my mind, and you'll see here. I realized that this twill tape, this trim that with the measuring tape fits perfectly in this these loops that are already on the top of the clips. So I thought, well, I'm just going to hang it with this just to make it'll tie it together, because the trunk of the tree is also done with this same trim. So I'm just going to stitch across on each side of this, and that's going to be my hanger. I'm also going to put a casing on the top of this as well, and I will be putting a dowel through it so that when it hangs on your wall it stays straight and doesn't sag. I have the casing on top now, and you can see me sticking that dowel through there. I hope you all enjoyed this. It was just a fun collage. You can kind of see how I work. A lot of it's trial and error, but it's just interesting to see how things come together just from scraps of fabric. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye for now.